What happened to that police officer that said I was driving too slow? He was just approached by my armies that work in hells that I create. So the police officer that said I was driving too slow, he was just approached by armies. So my baby armies that work in the hells that I create are called monsters. I do have angels that work in hells and more, but the monsters are the biggest and the most scary things I have that work in my worst, brutal, scary, sickening hells. And they are the messengers of you are not permitted to even look in a God's direction. And no matter what you think your human rules are, you have no right to do anything against a God ever. So after the United States and Dubai have murdered me more than once and more and taught such degraded things to the world, you have to put the respect and fear and more of God back into the planet, because they can't do anything against God without utter, severe, overloaded death and more of the soul, where no one can do anything about it. So you have to really teach them the severity of a God in the area and the severity of the punishments of ever going against God or being against God. It's better just to ignore my existence if you don't want anything to do with the God forever. Just ignore my existence, stay away from my presence to any extent, or the vicinity of where I am to any extent. But so that police officer just told me I was driving too slow. Didn't really think I'd ever get pulled over with that. And then a monster from my hells said, you have no legal right to be anywhere near the great dead Bonnie Annika. You have no legal right to approach the dead Bonnie Annika. You have no legal rights of any type, and you do not overpower, overshadow, or outrank God. And pretty much spelled out the same thing to the whole police station department that governs or supervises his existence. Because if you ever look at me wrong, I am ordered by law to destroy. So if I went near a courthouse and they had the right to, or let's just say I walked near a courthouse and they said, well, I want to convict her because I just don't like anything about her, I'd be ordered by law to destroy, to explode everything and everyone in that building and walk by the building completely dead in the red carpet a God should have had. Which means the day you do anything against me, the laws and rules of God require you to be a dead red carpet I walk over. So you don't really want to be part of this, what has the 666 brought upon us shit. And you don't want to be part of how the 666 has created such hostility of God against everything. And you don't want to understand people that go against God, because they should die. Because you shouldn't go against anything, because you shouldn't abuse anything, because you should never do bad against anything. So, I mean, most of this is really 666 related. But every now and then, normal people will just get caught in the mix. Sadly, I'm not allowed to be put within the human rules of existence. Sadly, I know what that means. It means I have to kill and walk over a dead red carpet. Do you understand? I know what I'm saying. If I am truly God and these countries truly killed me more than once, the only recourse I have is to make a dead red carpet out of everyone and walk over it to prove I am God. And no one had a right to even look at me wrong, much less murder or anything else, the death of God. See, like I said, you don't want to get wrapped up in the 666 side of life. They're very dead. They're very horrifying. They do not live to any extent worth any life worth having. You don't want to be part of any of this. But it's a part of being God again. If I am truly God, I will whoop your dead fucking ass, right? Until you just know you can't take me to court. I'm not a goddamn human, you fucking degraded, fucking trying to stand on top of me. Fuck you over God, fucking weirdo, right? So yesterday, the United States says, I'm going to sit on top of you through technology and more, and fuck you, God ain't shit, right? So if I'm going to be God again, I have to get up, make them unimaginably, unrealistically, beyond impossibly dead, and say, yeah, you murdered me twice and more. You sat on top of my existence to keep me down in death and poverty and more. Just to laugh that God's nothing. But I have resurrected. I have told you I resurrected. And I have won. I told you I already won. Now you will be my forever red carpet. I keep bludgeoning in the soul to death forever. To walk over your soul's death forever as the consequence of what you've done. But that doesn't bring me my God-level respect and worship back. I have to kill you in front of everybody every fucking time. I have to have my armies go after you every fucking time. I have to have everything slaughter the fuck out of you from the inside every fucking time. Until you have that air of the fear of God in the whole planet. Where they're not even gonna goddamn think about it. Then you bring Jesus and the sweetsies and the nice and the cutesies into the environment. So, yeah, I got a knockdown drag out. And I knew I had to knock down drag out. That's why I was so grateful. And I said I was so appreciative when God's helped me to work in hell. And I said, thank you so much that all those gods had helped me to go back to work in hell, to get back on my own 2 feet. I knew I was going to have to set the stage, for God doesn't tolerate anything. This isn't you kill God twice and now you're God. Get out of the delusional 666. This is you killed God twice and you're now much scary, fucked danger. And everything you say and do, God's will use to convict you and destroy you. So don't go into 666. Horrifying domain. Which, most people don't have any business doing real bad shit against God or anybody else. So most of the world should be able to watch all this dance right by. Because unless something is seriously wrong with you, you should never go against God anyway. And unless something's seriously wrong with you, you'll just stay away from God if you don't like God. Problem solved, Only the most suicidal people are going to say, I killed God twice and I'm not going to stop. Thus the red carpet and the horrifying fight that's already started.